Well, good evening, folks, and welcome back to the farm. It's kind of a beautiful evening, actually. Nice and warm. You look that way, real smoky. You look that way, actually quite pleasant. But anyways, we haven't had too much of a fire situation close to home here. Knock on wood. I know the folks to the north of us have it just absolutely terrible right now. So feel pretty bad for those folks. Anyways, this evening, I don't want to waste what we have for nice weather. I know there's lots of folks that say, well, you shouldn't get your garden in until at least May long weekend. But what with climate change and all, I think we have, it's time, right? If it's going to be 30 degrees for like 3-4 days in a row here, I think that's Mother Nature saying you could put some potatoes in the ground. So we did put 100 hills up the other day, and I went to Canadian Tire and picked up some seed potatoes, and I think we got close to probably enough for about 50 more hills, and then that should keep us over the winter. Before I do that though, I just got to run over to the barn here and feed some square bales to the sheep and to the two little heifers there. Yesterday I was in the house, I was eating supper, and I looked over and there was one sheep had a bucket on its head, and I said to the wife, I said, like, that just can't be. That bucket was on the west side of the barn, in behind a closed gate. Like that's just physically impossible. She's like, I didn't go in there. And I'm like, no, like, I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying, like, it's physically impossible for that sheep to have a bucket on its head unless it was on this side of the barn. So anyways, went out there. Sure enough, they broke through. Well, I'll just go show you what they did. It was a gong show. So they had this set of panels pushed open here. We had about 30 sheep and 2 heifers and a whole bunch of lambs stacked up in here eating on the haystack. Boy, oh boy, I was not impressed. All right, well, the critters got their feed. Now it's better be a good time to get some feed in the ground for me so I can eat next winter. So far we've planted Norland and Pontiac Red. That's what we have in the ground. And then I picked up russets and Yukon Gold. That'll be all our white potatoes for the year. Although actually we do have some, I don't know I think they're Spanish fingerlings or something like that they're called. They are a white potato too, but I don't know, I'm not much of a fan of those fingerlings. Throw them in a pot and boil them or whatever, but that's about all they're good for. They're not very versatile. Right here, these are the hills we put up the other day. So all I'm gonna do is about 2 feet in from the edge of that one, I'm just gonna drop the potatoes in. I'm going to take that grain shovel, where is it at? That grain shovel right there, and I'll just go down and take that first 18 inches of soil and fold it over. And I'm going to come over 30 inches and grab 18 inches of soil and fold it over, and I'll end up with rows all nice and hilled up just like this, nice and high. Make sure no potatoes are sticking out in the sun. And then I'll be able to come in here with, I got some arborist chips. It's just like sawdust and leaves and stuff from when they mulched underneath the power line there. Lay that in the bottom there, and then maybe some straw, whatever we can do. I know we're never going to get ahead of the weeds in the pathways, but it slows it down a little bit. But I like this. I know it's a kind of a waste of space, right? Because there's a lot of ground that you could technically grow stuff in, but I can also get the lawnmower in there and just go down and get rid of some of them weeds pretty quick. All right, well, I got my potato seedlings put in there. I didn't cut them up or chit them or anything like that. I'm just putting them in whole like that. And that's two full bags of the, what is that? Yukon Gold. Yeah, that's Yukon Gold in there right now. So each of those should produce, anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds, depending on, of course, soil composition, moisture, all of that jazz. And then proper hilling and everything like that. So we're kind of hoping to shoot in the middle, about 7 pounds per hill. And there's 19 potatoes basically laid out there, right? So you can do the math on that pretty quick. I think it's like 130, 140 pounds of potatoes we'll get out of that. So pretty excited about that. Lots of shepherd's pie. Not a big fan of scallop potatoes, but shepherd's pie, French fries, hash browns. I'd make a pretty poor Irishman, actually, I think. Anyways, enough about the Irish. I'm going to get my grain shovel here, and I'm just going to fold all this over and then go from the other side and fold it back in, and we'll end up with another row, and I'll throw some more potatoes down. Well, I got that row in and I laid my potatoes down here. Holy man, I am gonna have to work with purpose because there's some mosquitoes out here. First ones of the year. They're about the size of a hummingbird and they are thirsty. Whew. So, and of course I'm sweating like a bag because it's 26 degrees outside right now. So yeah, I'm gonna quickly get this shoveled in, get the sprinkler moved down. We've got the sprinkler running on the lawn right now. I'm usually not a big fan of sprinkling on the lawn, but of course, fire hazard being what fire hazard is, I'd rather it be green than brown right now. So that's running there. I'm gonna bring that over, sprinkle up the garden a bit for about an hour while I get a cup of tea. Oh, dirty buggers. And then I'll shut it off and head to bed. All right, taters are in, sprinklers on. I say I'll probably leave that for an hour, get everything good and soaked, and then I'll shut it off. I don't want it to be too soggy. I don't want anything to rot or anything like that, but there's, like I said, no subsoil moisture whatsoever. You can reach in here and this is just the dirty 30s all over again, right? But I am pretty impressed. I'll wait for that sprinkler to go back the other way. Underneath some of the stuff here, let's have a dig through and you can have a look. Some of this dirt, tough to see in the sunshine there, I know, but good amount of organic material in there. So we're winning, slowly but surely. We're winning against the clay and pushing that organic material and that carbon down into the soil. I was just hoping that, of course it's too dry, but maybe later in the season we'll see them. I was really just hoping to start seeing some worms come into this area, because that for me would just be, you know, that affirmation, I guess, confirmation that we're being somewhat successful and we're not just piling 5 tons of cow shit and hay and straw and everything into here every single year and not actually improving soil health. But it appears outwardly that soil condition is improving. Of course, we're just waiting now for all the microbiology to catch up in this area. Anyways, I think it's time for a cup of tea while that water runs over there. Now, if you're like me and you're getting your potatoes in early and maybe you're wondering just how much should we be watering them? So once they're in the ground like that, from planting to first 30 days, their water needs aren't super high and they're actually not super critical either. 30 to 60 days, of course, now water is critical, right? Because you're getting that early tuber formation. You're also getting plant growth formation. So they do need quite a bit of water. So you're going to want to make sure they get about 1 to 1.5 inches of water per week. And then as you get into the 60 to 90 days, still maintaining critical need for water, but for a different reason. So now your tubers are formed and your leafy greens are formed, but you want to bulk those tubers, right? So that's when they're in that heavy, dense feeding kind of range. And then once you get past 90 days to 120 days and beyond there, you know, the leaves start to die off and you already flowered and you're getting close to harvest time. They still have water needs, but it's just not as critical. Very similar to, you know, the early days of just after you've planted. And if you've been getting good rain events, I probably wouldn't worry about watering them at all. The last 3-4 years for us here, we've been in a kind of a drought cycle, and we've religiously had to come out and make sure that they had adequate water. And so we're just, you know, like I said, about an inch and a half a week throughout, usually throughout, but in the middle there, just a little bit extra. If you're not getting any kind of supplemental rain coming out of the sky, leave your sprinkler on for an extra 25-30 minutes. It won't hurt nothing. That said, of course, you don't want to put 3, 4, or 5 inches of water on there and flood the darn things, because, well, then your feet are going to get real wet and your potatoes will just rot and you'll be awful hungry this winter. So yeah, with everything in moderation, right? Now, of course, it's getting on probably 9:30. Yeah, probably 9:30, almost 10 o'clock at night here. And I'm watering plants. Typically, once I've got leafy growth, I'm not actually going to do that, right? Best time of day to water plants is first thing in the morning before the heat of the day. And usually you can adsorb a little bit of moisture on the bottom of the leaves. It's kind of the leaves on the bottom of the leaves, they have almost like pores in your skin actually that can absorb water. So early morning is best for that because it just kind of mimics the whole dew cycle. Middle of the day when the sun is up, not that great, right? Because, well, you can get sunburn, right? No different than going in the pool without sunscreen. Put a bunch of water on your plants, well, then of course they can get the magnifying effect of that sun. You get burnt, and it's not good, right? Late in the evening, again, generally not that great. Soaked roots, as the humidity level climbs and the temperature declines, you can end up with fungal growth. So early in the morning, if you can do it, is better. If you can't do it, try and get it later in the morning, maybe early evening, but certainly not late in the evening. But again, sometimes there's only so many hours in the day, and if you got to get water on it, you got to get water on it. But if you're going to put water on it in the evening, just make sure you limit how much you're putting on. Anyways, speaking about moderation, I'm going to go drink far too many cups of tea for my own good. So I'll let you go for now. I hope you have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.